Hello, and welcome to Soul Play, where we explore the art of living with curiosity, connection, and creativity. I'm your host, Sarah Benlaw, and I'm so incredibly grateful you're here. Throughout my journey, I've crossed paths with remarkable individuals, guests who join us here to share their wisdom, stories, and practical insights. These inspiring voices are shaping a better world, offering perspectives and tools that my younger self would have loved to discover. Soul Play is more than just a podcast. It's an invitation for all of us to show up authentically, reclaim our power, and reconnect with the essence of who we truly are. Today's guest is Phongsan. Kay's journey began with a deep curiosity about the universe and our true nature. He earned a Ph.D. in nuclear fusion from the University of Wisconsin-Madison and worked as a researcher and university lecturer before realizing that science often explains how things work, but not what they truly are. This led him to explore consciousness, spirituality, and plant medicine. Trained in Peru's Sacred Valley, Kay discovered the profound healing power of plant medicine ceremonies. Since then, he has hosted hundreds of ceremonies in Thailand, helping others on their healing and spiritual journeys. His work integrates martial arts, energy cultivation, and powerful ceremonial chanting to guide participants towards alignment, light, and self-discovery. In this episode, Kay shares his journey from nuclear science to the depths of psychedelic healing and energetic awareness. He discusses how plant medicine shattered his materialist worldview, the intersection of science and spirituality, and the power of ceremony, breathwork, and integration. This conversation is an exploration of paradox, awakening, and surrender. Whether you're drawn to consciousness, energy work, or the mysteries of plant medicine, Kay's insights will challenge and inspire you to look beyond the material world. Without further ado, I welcome Phongsan. Kay, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's such an honor to have you here. I'm looking forward to getting into discussion with you. You're a very well-renowned and well-regarded person here in the community in Chiang Mai with your work in plant medicine. Yeah, so let's get into it. If we can start by getting you to introduce yourself and really letting us know where the journey began and how it brought you to here.
Yeah, my name is Kay. I was born in Bangkok, and since I was young, as far as I can remember, I always been wondering of why there's something instead of nothing. You know, why do we have this body? Why do we have this stuff that we see around here? And was keep wondering and asking adults. You know, they say that, oh, it's a silly question. You know, that kind of thing. And then some people just suggest me, okay, if you want to understand everything, you know, you study science. So then I've been in the pursuit of studying science ever since, until I have my degree in nuclear engineering. Worked in nuclear facilities in France for a few years, and then things has been nice and fun and all, but still the same question that I had since I was young was still there, like why there's something instead of nothing. Science cannot really answer that. They are very, very good at learning or studying how the universe works, so that we can make use of it. So that we can make chairs, we can make cars, we can make, you know, clean water, anything like that, which is extremely useful. But still, science hasn't been able to answer such question of why the existence, why do we have this. So it's kind of like got me a little bit kind of disappointed a little bit, but I didn't think about it too much until I came back to Thailand and being a lecturer in a university in Pisanullo for a little while, and got into the politics of, let's say, the academic world, which I find a little bit silly. Instead of everybody trying to pursue the ultimate truth of everything, they're just like too busy with, you know, politics of, you know, how to get grants, how to get funding, how to, you know, make students become more interested or enroll in this and that. So it's just been a bit tiring until I feel like, oh, it's not my place there anymore. So I quit, and then I went to do some online business myself a little bit, but then my curiosity about the same question was still there until one day I accidentally found this documentary by National Geographic. They talked about the word consciousness. It was actually, surprisingly, it was actually the first time that this word actually clicked on me, that something profound. Before that, I kind of heard of this word before, consciousness, but I didn't pay too much attention. It's just like, oh, okay, of course we are conscious. So why do we need to study that? It's so obvious, right? Just like fish in the water. Why do we need to study about water? It's everywhere, right? So yeah, and then, but for some reason that documentary got me stopped. And then when I watched it, it was about Harvard University. He was a neuroscientist specifically, wanting to understand how the brain works under the influence of ayahuasca. So he and his grad students went into the Amazon jungle with all his instruments, with the brain sensor and laptop and instrument, and drink ayahuasca and then measure the brain wave. His grad student just like sitting next to him while he was tripping in ayahuasca. It was very interesting that what they found was that besides of the experience that the professor had was super profound and unexplainable to him, the signal that his student picked up from the instrument was that the brain wave in the gamma region, which is known to be the region where the brain works when a serious meditator get into that meditative state, like a really deep meditative state, and that actually very difficult to attain. You have to train meditation seriously for decades in order to get this gamma brainwave consistently. But in ayahuasca, even with people without training, they are able to experience that trance that the medicine gives it to them, and they be able to realize a lot of things important in their lives. And I thought, wow, that's actually very powerful. And then I began the search for ayahuasca. And also along the same line that I started to become interested about consciousness is that I read a book called Biocentrism by Robert Lanza. He's a leading scientist in stem cell, but his book was actually turned the science on its head. Like normally we would understand that, okay, there's a Big Bang gives rise to matter, gives rise to stars, planets, and then accidentally we have life. We have bacteria start to form multi-cells, organism and things like that, and we have us. But what biocentrism said in the book was that, no, actually it was the consciousness first, and then the consciousness gives rise to everything else around us. I was like, really? But then he gave an example, like, okay, now you know that there are things around you. There are tables, there are floor, there are ceiling, there's everything around you. How do you know? Oh, because I'm conscious. But what if you don't conscious? What if you are not conscious? Everything in the universe is going to disappear as if it's never there in the first place. Everything just gone. How do you know that it will be there if you are conscious? It's not there anymore. So no one can really can really answer that question. So, and also it's unprovable, is it true or not, but it's just an intriguing concept that coupling with my interest in ayahuasca at the time, I kind of like put this into a mission in search for ayahuasca. So, and during that time, I just came back from working in France, so I was a little bit more familiar with Europe. So I think it was 2016 that I went to the Netherlands to experience my first ayahuasca ceremony there, because I feel like it's safer for me and it's closer instead of me going to South America directly. So yeah, and the first few ceremonies of mine was very, very eyes-opening to say the least. And my life has never been the same ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's all I'm hearing, and plant medicine in general is a profound, powerful, otherworldly, but a sense of home at the same time.
Exactly. That's just so bizarre. I found like the more I study into this, I studied Buddhism, I studied Taoism. They all, any of the profound teaching, they're always paradoxical. It feels just like what you said. It's so alienated, but at the same time feels like home. But that is kind of true.
Welcome to the dance of paradox, right? The pendulum swinging from extreme to extreme. And both can exist.
Exactly.
And I can see why this has really taken you on a trajectory of your own life. This fire that's been ignited since you were young, it sounds like, which, the answers are in science. Okay, let me explore that for a while. And turns out they're not. And, this constant kind of quest. And so since that first eye-opening, profound experience, what else has unfolded for you?
A lot of things. In pretty much what makes me today is that I study to explore more about myself, about my passion. But I also have to say that it's not like when I drink ayahuasca, all the things that I studied in science before was still has a lot of meaning in it. But before, I was very materialist person. Like everything has to be proven. You need to have an evidence. I have to be able to see it, to touch it, to test it, to repeat the experiment. Like the standard science had. But which is nice and all, because if you want to argue with one another who is right, you need that evidence, you need that experiment to convince people. But that also at the same time limits our own understanding about the true nature of everything, because not everything in the universe can be put into test. Like love, for example. How you can prove that one person has love for another person? There's no way to prove that. But we all know that it's real, but you cannot prove it, right? So, and this is one example. So, from my ayahuasca experience, I found that science is fun. Science is not wrong. Science has its place, but it's only a tiny, tiny piece of the whole thing that is so big. And even in science community, they already admitted that everything that we know so far about the universe itself can be account for less than 5% of what actually is in the universe. The other 96%, composed of dark energy and dark matter, which we call it dark because we don't know what they are. So even in science, they already admit that. But once you are in the energetic, once you start to feel the energetic realm that the plant medicine showed it to you, you feel like 4% is a bit optimistic. I feel like science may be less than 1%.
I hear you. I hear you on this.
And what actually is, but it doesn't really matter. But science has its place. Science is not wrong, but it just opened my mind for something else that is actually led me to be true to myself. Let me get out of my head, because before everything has to be analytical. Until once ayahuasca showed me that, there's a lot more things. Because, for example, my second ayahuasca ceremony, I've been practicing karate since I was 9 years old, and it's been a big part of my life. And I'm practicing that for like 35 years, something like that. And then at some point, I feel like I'm too old for that, so I stopped. And then ayahuasca showed me that, just made me feel like something big in my life was missing. And she shows me that it was the karate that I stopped. But I need to get back to that, but not the same kind of karate, the sporty type, the things that revolve around competition and gets who win, who lose, and all. So she showed me that I need to go to the source, which is the island of Okinawa in the most southern part of Japan. So next year after the ceremony, I went there and started to discover the old tradition of how karate was trained there, and I've been practicing that ever since, because it's really more about self-discipline. For karate, there in Okinawa is a yoga, or like, you know, people doing Tai Chi in the morning. So it's more like a self-practice. They don't care about who win or who lose. They don't care about who is better than who, you know. It's just be happy practicing that, whatever that is. So like, and then that's kind of led me into that path. And then later on, when I was in Peru, and then I also experienced the Bufo Avarus for the first time. That is the active compound is composed of 5-MeO-DMT and Bufotein, which those many people say they are like the strongest psychedelics known to man. So when I had the experience, the medicine shows me that the things that is called life force, or the qi in traditional Chinese medicine, is actually real. I didn't know what I was. I've been intrigued. I read books about it. I discussed with a lot of people, but you know, just only in their head. Because if you never experience anything like this firsthand, it's impossible for the mind to even have a grasp, having a sense of what it actually is. Like a blind person who never seen colors before, or maybe like a person who was born and raised in a dark, in a black and white room all their lives. No matter how much they study about color, they would never get what red looks like, what blue is like, what green is like, if they never actually see it. They may understand, oh, okay, red is this wavelength, you know, when the spectrum is like this and that, but all you see in your life is just black and white, gray and all. No matter how much you study about color, if you never have the first-hand experience, you will never fully understand it. Same thing for qi, same thing for life force. So I've been studying that, you know, in my head, in many books. I kind of like, yeah, maybe it's true or not, until the Bufo showed me like right away, like woof, in my body, like this life force really running. It's actually the fuel that keeping me alive, keeping me having this profound experience of consciousness in the first place. I mean, like, wow, this qi that I study in books, they're actually real. And how can I understand this more? So then the year after that, I went to Taiwan to study Tai Chi, and now I've been in the path of internal martial art, meeting a lot of great teachers. It just gave me incredible insights and feelings of what this art is all about. So now I kind of in the process of incorporate everything into a package, you know, incorporating internal martial art into my karate, because karate is easier because it's more physical, but internal martial art is like, it's internal, so you can't show to people much. It's inside, right? So I kind of like trying to blend that together, and with the use of plant medicine from time to time, that may be useful, because first of all, plant medicine is not for everyone. For those who are fortunate enough to already have the sensitivities to energies, to feelings, to emotion of others, those who we might call like they are the empaths, they are very lucky. They're already there. They don't need plant medicine to tell them anything more if they don't feel the calling to. But for a person like me who was like a brick, you know, pretty much like a metal box that nothing else can get inside, I need ayahuasca to break that box until I became more aware of the energy and the frequency and everything that and I feel like for those who have no idea of what I'm talking about, plant medicine can be useful for them. It's for them to, okay, let's see how you feel now. Let's see how you feel before and after the plant medicine, and see what else can you learn more about what it means to have a life in the first place. So for me, that is how profound plant medicine is for me, to allow me open up my sensitivity to be able to explore a lot more in things that I didn't know existed in the first place.
Absolutely. Different realms of consciousness, energy, vibrations. Yeah, this deep sense of oneness.
Right.
And yeah, it sounds like energetically you've been seeking, the undertone here is energy. How does the universe work? Well, what is the universe? And exploring consciousness and going further into you being a force and orchestrating your own reality with your own energy, right? And so this sense of wakefulness that you have now, that it sounds like you're bringing to plant medicine ceremonies to kind of expose that to people when and if they feel ready to explore that. What does that look like, your offerings here in Chiang Mai, for example?
So first of all, I didn't think of hosting plant medicine ceremonies to anyone at all, really, because I find that it is such a huge responsibilities, and you need a lot of preparation. You need to be ready to whatever comes, because you never know in plant medicine ceremony what's going to happen. Some people might have something that may look like psychotic breakdown. Some people might have the most blissful experience in their lives, or some people might experience hell or whatever that is. So just going back a little bit, that since my first ayahuasca experience in the Netherlands, and then after that I went to Okinawa and then trained my karate, and then a few years after, in 2019, I went to Peru to experience ayahuasca in the motherlands, and then I spent there 4 months and spending time to learn about medicine, particularly ayahuasca and San Pedro, because particularly in the south of Peru, San Pedro is everywhere. Every household got San Pedro, and in the market it's on the floor everywhere.
Wow.
San Pedro is the medicine in the south of Peru. So I've been taking San Pedro quite regularly while I was there, at least 2 or 3 times a week, just a little bit there, maybe 2 or 3 grams, just a small dose, to be able to feel the connection in the nature.
Like a microdose,
yeah,
would that be?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but at the time, I didn't know the term microdosing.
Of course.
But I just know that if I do it, it feels good. And it helps me become more connected with the nature around me. Yeah. And then in that community, it is a small town called Pisac. I'm not sure if you heard of that, but it's about 40 minutes bus ride from Cusco. Cusco is the largest city in the south of Peru. So in Pisac, it's such a small town, very, very small. And in this small town, there's a lot of ayahuasca retreat center. And people from around the world actually there, mostly from Europe and from North America, and very little from Asia though. Basically, it's a small community of international people. And then somehow they feel okay, this is a place that many people wanted to spend a lot of time there, and some people they feel we need to make this as a community. At least people who came from different walks of life, once a week they will have a place to just come together and just do something together, so that we can get to know each other. They can connect to one another more. And that activity was the cacao ceremony. It was the Thursday cacao ceremony every Thursday at 4 p.m. There, everybody, more or less everybody, come to this cacao ceremony, and the circle was 80 to 90 people.
Wow.
It was huge, for the cacao ceremony. So they have 2 big pots of cacao, and cacao in south of Peru is the best, very, very strong. And so they serve cacao, and then they sing kirtan, they sing mantra music, which at the time I had no idea what I was. But I knew that it was very simple, just only a line. It's just repeat. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. It's just something very simple. At first, it may sound a bit silly, and at the beginning, I was even suspect that are they trying to turn me into Hindu or something? Because I was not very much into religious at the time. So yeah, but then when lots of people in the town just keep inviting me, oh, you should come, I was oh, okay, I will come after maybe the 10th invitation or something. So eventually I went there and drink the cacao, and then once the chanting start repeating, it's almost like the energy vortex in the circles. everybody is kind of helping each other raise the energy of the room. It's like, wow, everybody kind of like gets so pumped up and so high, even nothing but cacao and the vibration of the song, of the mantra. And they're doing that for 3 hours. And after 3 hours, they have intermission.
Woo, what does that look like? Yeah.
For the second serving of the cacao. And went on for another 3 hours. So it was a long cacao ceremony.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very powerful. So that's why now I understood why people feel that this is such a powerful activity that is simple, but yet at the end of the 6 hours endeavor, I would say, people like, even you sat next to a person you never met before, you become good friend. You start to share information, you start to talk, start to connect with people like, wow, okay, this is such a beautiful way to build community.
To get out of the mind and into the heart, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And that's pretty much the key of kirtan, of singing mantra, is that when the lyrics is so simple, you don't have to think about it. You just repeat and just don't think. There's nothing else to think about. Once you do not think, the message from your heart will become the dominant feeling in yourself. And the energy from one heart to the heart of the person next to you and the heart of the person across to you, somehow this energy will blend and slowly become just one big heart, one big energy, one big something that just like make us all realize that, damn, we are all together in the first place. The separation is just the illusion that we were lied to. And with this realization, I feel like, wow. So I definitely, after my first cacao ceremony there, I went there every week. And even more powerful when the day that in the morning I happened to take microdosing San Pedro, and in the evening I have cacao to boost it up. That was like just so crazy. So crazy. So I went there every week and then tried to study mantra. Okay, what mantra are they singing? I tried to write out the chords, and then now I had my guitar, and then I started to join singing, playing music with them too, because at the time I felt like this is something I definitely need to bring back to Thailand. So then after 4 months in Peru, I came back, and then I came to Chiang Mai with my guitar, and then we started searching for kirtan in Chiang Mai, and we found some group, and we kind of like looking around a little bit more, but I feel like the starting point for us is that we start to find like-minded people who start to understand why do we need to sing this, why this music is powerful. It was Koi. She was a very well-known yoga teacher in Chiang Mai. So we had the same idea, and at first she invited me to just sing a mantra at the end of her yoga session, during the shavasana, when people lays down and just go into their meditative state, and she just allowed me to be there and just sing my mantra. And it turns out to be very useful for a lot of people. They feel like, oh wow, your music kind of get me into a different level that I've never been there before. And then we start to team up, me, Goy, and Dao, and we start to form our first kirtan in Chiang Mai. And it's a free event, by donation. And at first, we didn't know how many people were going to come, and we just trying to spread this word. And first time it was like 20 people came, which I for me it was very surprising already. Yeah, and then once people get to understand what it means, every time when we announce we're gonna have kirtan, they invite more friend to come, and then after we have the kirtan, we start to have cacao ceremony, and then start going from there until we started to. That's pretty much where we started together with Goy, started to form Seeds of Love, which is you know, it's not really like our community name, but just basically when we decided to have a Facebook page, we need a name.
People need to find you.
Yeah. So that's how God came up with the name Seeds of Love. And every time we have kirtan, we always say like kirtan by Seed of Love. So it's not any one of us in particular, but just our group. Yeah, and then once we start to form this group, and we have quite a number of like-minded people, and I started to talk about San Pedro that I had experience with when I was in Peru. And Goy also, at the same time, she was connected with this medicine through another friend of hers from the States. He is a veteran in psychedelics, I have to say, and he already introduced Goy to many plant medicine, ayahuasca, and also San Pedro. So together with our small group of friends, we start to have our own San Pedro ceremony together for the first time in our friends' properties. And it turns out to be very powerful. Like, wow, I didn't know that in a ceremonial setting, because I've been using San Pedro on my own. It's nice and I learned a lot, but in a ceremonial setting with the proper mindset and everything is like next level. You know, just the setting alone, and you feel safe with a group of friends, people that you can trust, that even make you feel like surrendering is natural. And once you surrender into anything, you know, life starts to flow, things start to flow, and that's where the power of the medicine comes. And yeah, ever since that circle with a group of friends, with San Pedro, we feel like, why don't we do this? Why don't we offer this to other people as well, so that they can experience the same? So that we started to invite other people to come, and that's how we have our first what we call open heart ceremony, which is the San Pedro ceremony that people come to have their heart open. Yeah.
Powerful work. Thank you for expressing this journey. It's what a ride it's been for you.
Yeah, but somehow it feels like it's a flow.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a flow. It's not like something like I came back and I need to do, I need to host a ceremony. No, it's never like that.
Yeah, it just evolved.
Yeah,
it
evolves, definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You're following the signs and the energy and where you're meant to go in what direction, right? And I think it's incredible work. And what I keep hearing is these experiences are profound, right? If people are ready and consciously want to participate in them, then there can be a lot of like powerful magic that occurs there, and a sense of breaking. Like I resonate with this kind of box-like figure that you're talking about also, and sometimes it does take a powerful plant medicine to kind of penetrate that, to really see what's possible, and then allow the rest to unfold and continue surrendering into these different experiences, right?
For sure.
And you've mentioned a bit about energy and the full spectrum of what can happen in these containers. Can you walk through the experience a little bit in terms of the welcoming of people, the offering of the plant medicine? And I know each experience is unique, but just a bit of a baseline of what people would expect in these kind of ceremonies. Okay,
so first of all, I like to talk about the differences between doing the plant medicine on your own versus in a ceremonial setting. If you do it on your own, there's really nothing wrong with that. If you know what you're doing, if you know your medicine, you know your dosage, you know that you are doing with a group of people who you can trust in a safe environment, there's nothing wrong with that. But in a ceremonial setting, it's a different feeling. It's different energetic. It's a different world, if I have to say. If you do it on your own, like I mentioned, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's still certain condition for you to always consider. Is someone gonna come and knock the door? What if the phone ring? What if some people come in, and what if I have to interact with anyone? You don't always have these worries in your mind, in the back of your, even though you know that I already have everything set, but it's always in there. It's
survival. There's like an activated
there's
survival
still
state.
that survival mode within you to kind of like keep you alert a little bit of what's going to happen, so you cannot fully surrender.
And tied to your mind.
Yeah. It's very difficult to kind of fully surrender and just trust the medicine fully. But in the ceremonial setting, you are with a group of people who are very well trained. They know the medicine. They've been through hundreds and hundreds of ceremony. They've seen a lot of cases of people in the ceremony, what they're going to do and how they handle things. So at least you know that. It's like you drive a car yourself, or you're just being a passenger. You know, you are being in a passenger in a limousine is a lot nicer than driving the car yourself, right? Because you have to worry about is someone going to cross the street or things like that. So you can just chill, relax, let the professional drive the car for you, and just
trust.
Be in that limousine and trust that this vehicle going to take you from wherever you are meant to be.
The ability to surrender.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so great. Yeah. And that's pretty much what we are doing. We provide that limousine for people to just sit back and just relax and just trust, so that they can flow fully. They be able to just work on to whatever they need to work on their own, without the worries about someone going to cross the street, is it going to get a traffic or anything like that. So usually in our retreats, we have different kind of offering. The most basic one I would say would be like mushroom ceremonies. That's like a shorter offering, which we usually do the medicine on the first night, and then we have 2 more days for integration. But overall schedule of our plant medicines retreat is like, first day when people come, of course we have orientation, which is extremely important. Orientation, besides the ceremony itself, it's the most important aspect of the whole retreat. Is where everybody comes to meet. In our retreat, we have people from around the world. They fly directly just to attend our retreats. And one time we had 22 people. They all came from all the continents in the world, from South America except Antarctica, because we don't have anyone lives there. Yeah, so it was a very powerful retreat. That we have people from every continent in the world here in this circle.
So diverse.
Yeah, so diverse.
Culturally rich.
Yeah, and we introduce our team, our experience, and we let everybody around the circle introduce themselves, why they're here, their experience with psychedelics, and also that everybody kind of know each other, where they're from and why they're here. Because obviously, coming to plant medicine is not for fun. Yeah, you can probably say that you take a little bit of mushroom, it can be fun. You can take a little bit of LSD, it can be fun. But in our retreat, it's not about that. We dose them pretty high. So
it's about seeing what you're meant to see.
Yeah, exactly. So on high dose of any psychedelic, it's a serious work. It's a hard work, and can be the most difficult day in their lives even. So they're not here for fun.
To say the least, the most difficult for sure.
Yeah. And we had many people said that, like last night my ayahuasca experience was like the most difficult in my life. Many people said that, which we all understood that because we all been there. So at least we allow everybody to share their own story, because there must be a reason why you're here. Once they feel more accustomed to each other, I will start to explain more about what to expect, what not to expect, what to prepare, how you handle yourself in the ceremony, how the ceremony is going to work, what to do if you experience this, what if you feel panic, what if you feel fear, what if you feel uncomfortable, what if you feel this and that. I kind of give them tools of how they should handle themselves in the ceremony. So at least they are prepared for some level before going to the ceremony. At least they feel like they're not going to walk into the unknown with no tools. at least they have something that they can
Knowledge
work.
is power. That's very empowering.
Yeah, and they feel a bit more confident in walking to the ceremony room. And we have a lot of facilitators. Usually our facilitators to participant ratio is about 1 to 3. So one facilitator for 2 or 3 participants. So that's plenty already. And so we prepare them well. And then we have activities such as we have intention settings where we ask participants to come one by one to talk personally with all the facilitators to kind of like connect to them in the personal level to understand the purpose of why they're here and what might be the special need or attention that we can serve that particular person better. So we get to know each and every one in a personal level, so that it will be a process for them to start to develop trust in the process as well.
So valuable to be tailored individually, right? Because you feel seen, heard, and met in what's going on, and enhances trust and safety.
Right, yeah. And then the next day, we take the group to have a good time together in the waterfall, because our retreat takes place in Marim, which there are a lot of beautiful waterfalls, and people become more relaxed, become more in tune with the nature, with the energy around the space, so they feel more relaxed. And then the first ceremony in that night. So I explain things again, and we have certain ritual that kind of make sure that they put their mind in the most peaceful place possible. So we have series of ritual before serving the medicine, like start with the rapé, and then we do meditation. Sometimes we do breathwork, we do chanting and all that before we actually serve the medicine. Yeah, and then when we start serving the medicine, we also have to, before that, when we do the intention setting with the individual, we also kind of like gauge what kind of dosage would be appropriate for any particular person, so that we serve the medicine in the dose that we feel confident the most for that person. Yeah. Of course, things can change during the ceremony, and we will just simply adjust accordingly to that. So
yeah, a lot of thought, care, and attention put into these ceremonies, in which case there needs to be, because as powerful as it is for magic and liberation and surrender, the pendulum can really swing in the other direction, right? Of fear, terror.
Yeah. And the reason that we had this schedule, this timeline in the retreat like this, it's not like our first ceremony, bam, it's going to be like this. No, we learn by experience. Yeah. We've been doing this for almost 4 years now, so at least we have two retreats every month. So that's like 24 times 4. So yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of retreats. Yeah. So in every ceremony we have a staff meeting, and we got feedback from people. People suggest, oh, it'd be nice if we have this, it'd be nice if we have that. So we kind of like compound them together and make the next retreats even better, and make the next even better. So we kind of learn from all the participants as well. Absolutely.
It's collaborative, and you're meeting what is, rather than, again, like this background of science. Well, this is right and it's always right. It's like, no, this is the science. We're in it. We're exploring. We're collecting data. We're really seeing what's happening and what works and what doesn't. Yeah. So I'm sure that's been quite an intense evolution, and a beautiful container to build. And develop more understanding of this powerful.
Yes, for sure.
Powerful medicine. Yeah. And so for yourself as a facilitator, I imagine there's a lot of energy and time and care, which can be taxing, I imagine, to say the least. So for you, what does that look like to really, ensure that you're taking good self-care of yourself?
It's kind of funny, though. I never thought of the size of taking care of myself, but I knew that in the ceremony, everybody, all the facilitators, they would naturally feel like they have to give 100% of their own energy in order to support everyone who comes. But in order to take care of myself, first I have to make sure that I have enough sleep, because for me, sleep is, if you have good enough sleep, that's the magic pills already.
Foundation of wellness.
Because your body knows how to heal itself, but you just only give it time. If you never rest, if you never have a good sleep, your body will never fully fix yourself. So the medicine within you cannot work fully, so which is your body. So you need to have your body a chance to heal itself. So do the best. I always do the best I can to get myself a good sleep after the retreats. During the retreat itself, because our retreat, like for ayahuasca retreat, for example, it's kind of difficult for me to have like a full night's sleep, because the ceremony starts at 6 and it's finished around 2 a.m. in the morning. And then after that, it's still very hard to sleep. So most of us won't be able to sleep until 4 a.m. in the morning. So, and then we have to work again like at 9 or 10. So it's just kind of difficult. But after that, we all have to make sure that we have good enough sleep. So that's why sometimes I feel like if I use a bit of supplement like melatonin, it also helps me sleep. But the best sleeping medicine for me is exercise. If you just go out and exercise, run and just make yourself sweat a lot for like only half an hour. Only half an hour, you come back, drink plenty of water, shower, and then you feel relaxed. You just fall asleep like baby.
For you, for me, for humans in general,
absolutely.
Right? Like physically exhausting ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, the energy that I expend during the ceremony was different than the physical energy, because it is something that from deep inside of us that need to come out to kind of support everybody. Imagine a room, a big hall full of 23, 25 participants. They're all high on ayahuasca, and everybody like energy is like woof. And you have to do your best to support, to contain all that. That's not easy. It's natural that at the end of the ceremony, everybody got like exhausted, got beaten up a lot. So but after that, if we are aware that okay, it's time for taking care of ourselves now.
Yes, rest and having that balance so that you can continue showing up for other people.
Yeah. And another thing that I find, because I also have my own, it's not just of course you can do whatever exercise that you enjoy to do in order to help you sleep, but I also find particular practices that can be more powerful than others. Like I have my qigong practice that work more like the internal flow, the energy inside of me, and then I will feel like any kind of blockages, because sometimes in the ceremony when you hold space for that many people, you will encounter with some foreign energy that you might not enjoy being into, but somehow it's part of your job that you have to be there, and that can you can have that energy kind of stick to you, and that stickiness can create some kind of blockages within you
and dis-ease,
right? And you feel like, why am I feel like anxious today? Why am I feeling like I don't know, that kind of feeling. And I feel like the internal work like qigong or tai chi, where you move the energy, you bring your mind to tranquility, and you move the energy inside of you, that kind of like it's like water runs through the blockages within your body, and you clear that blockages out. That's like you energetically cleanse yourself with that exercise.
Intentional releasing of energy, absolutely. I feel that that's valuable for everyone, especially if you're holding a container that's so intense,
right,
like ayahuasca ceremonies, right?
Wow. And then other practices like yoga, particularly Ashtanga yoga, I find it is extremely efficient in terms of bringing energy back into the body. It's like a charger. For me, it feels like, even though people feel like, well, Ashtanga is like, it's too hardcore, it's too difficult, you don't need to be perfect. Okay, you don't need to do, if any pose that you don't need to do that. But I mean, in general, if you do what you can, it may seem counterintuitive that you do like intensive work of Ashtanga, like an hour and a half, you should feel exhausted. But no, it's different. For me, it feels like a charger. If any morning I feel like when I wake up, I feel tired, I feel like, oh, I don't have energy today, I'll do my Ashtanga routine, like an hour. And then after that, I feel like, wow, I just drink like a liter of cacao or something.
Energized.
Full of energy. Like, I didn't fall asleep for the rest of the day. I have full energy for the rest of the day. It's just such a wonderful practices too.
Energized.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It sounds like you have an incredible practice, and I agree with you with energetics. I mean, I think that's part of the challenge that we're seeing in the world for people is extreme individualization for sure, but also this psychological stress, this emotional distress. When it's unattended to, then we're energetically carrying around these entities that do create blockages, which lead to disease.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my teachers, I have many profound teachers, they are internal martial art teachers, but at the same time, once they understand the internal, they can use that same energy to heal other people as well. So naturally for them, they are healers. And when they teach any healing arts, they say, you don't heal them. You're not the doctor. You're not giving them medicine. You just remove the blockages within them so that their body can heal themselves. That's it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how the energy healing works. You don't intervene with their energy. Just help them to remove the blockages, and their body will heal itself.
So you can activate their own innate capacity to heal.
Absolutely.
Hearing a lot of empowerment, right? Undertones of empowerment through psychedelic plant medicine, through energy work. It's really bringing people back to themselves.
Absolutely.
Over and over and over again. And it sounds like that's been a big part of your journey over the course of time, through the beginning of your exposure to science and your quest for knowledge and exploration. And I really hear the boredom that came with kind of putting things into boxes, figuring them out, like having discussions so that we can debate and perhaps win, and it does become a bit futile in the end, and a bit boring. So I hear that, and then exploring further into what else is out there, and to think that we can conceptualize as humans with our primitive mind truly what is out there. We don't know. If I could talk to you in 5 years, 5 months, we're all constantly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a discovery.
That's a beautiful part of life.
Yeah, the ongoing discovery and unfolding. And the unknown. And being able to actually walk that path consciously and actively is quite a gift. Scary at times,
sure,
but quite a gift.
There's a powerful analogy that I read from, if I don't remember the name of the book though, probably the Surrender Experiment by Michael A. Singer, but they talk about, they give an example like a baker on the street, like when they bake for money and all. They give an example like a baker sit on an old box and just keep baking for money from people on the street. They said like, this is us. This is all of us right now. We are just a baker baking for, our salary, our social security, our, influx of money by trying to make a living here and there. But without realizing that, what we are actually sitting on, that old box that we are sitting on, is full of gold in the first place. The job of the teacher who will come to you is not to give you the money, is not to give you the food, but just to point you out that, hey, what you're sitting on is a box full of gold. And it's up to you to get out of your seat, get out of your comfort zone, and just realize that yourself. So that's kind of like, I found that to be very much in line with my own discovery as well. That at the beginning, I seek outside for answer.
It's a common tendency among humans. For
sure.
Sure.
We seek outside for comfort. We seek outside for reassurance. We seek outside for good health, for for
everything.
well-being,
validation. Yeah.
Right. Whereas is in us, and that box is already here. Our body is already go inside. That's why it's Om Mani Padme Hum. It's always here. The Buddha, the goal, the jewel is already here. It's up to us to realize. And once you realize that, it's like, damn, this life is so beautiful.
Let's be here. Let's be awake and,
Yeah.
and really bask in the magic of the universe,
Right.
you know? If I can, from your website, I had a quote that was quite profound, you know, and along these lines is, life is the ultimate gift that the universe has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have life, how you can know that everything exists in the first place?
Yeah. And life is, I think, opening that box, right? Because I think there's varying degrees of, sure, wakefulness or presence or ability to really land in being alive,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And that really struck me, and it's so powerful. And another quote from your website here too was that plant medicine ceremonies are the most profound for healing and the realization of the nature of the universe from direct experiences that anyone can have access to.
Yeah.
And I think that really summarizes a lot of what we've discussed here today.
Yeah. Some people might say it's a shortcut or anything, but I wouldn't say that. Like, if I were to say that for people who already have the sensitivity or have the discipline to practice, that's for them. That's a shortcut. That's the gift that they have since they were young. But for a person like me, like a box, I need something to penetrate, to go through. It's not like, plant medicine is not for everybody as well. And just sitting under the tree for decades is also not for everybody. There are many paths to the top of the mountain. Why don't we just embrace them all? They are all shortcuts. If we start the first step in the first place. Yeah, infinite, in fact, and allowing that to be is Right.
I think, quite the gift too, rather than judgments or thinking that we're doing it wrong. Really, just it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. A topic that we haven't discussed at length that I would love to bring up is really integral, I think, in psychedelic use plant medicine is integration.
Oh,
Yeah, could you speak to that? What that looks like?
Yeah, we always, when people come to our retreat, we have the group chat. Usually we use WhatsApp for the group to kind of stay together. At the beginning, during the retreat, we use that group to announce, okay, at this time, we're going to have this activity here and there so that people can keep track of the schedule. But then after the retreats, people feel so connected and they stay connected into that WhatsApp group for years.
Family.
Yeah. They're kind of like, oh, okay, I found this interesting book. When they read, I found this interesting workshop and things like that. And just recently too, people who came to our retreats, they've started to feel this calling of wanting to be a part of our team. So this group of people, they started to help us form like more like a formal integration program. So the program looks like now is that after the retreat ends, within I think they will have the next 4 weeks integration program. So the week after the retreat ends, they will have the first Zoom call for everybody to come and share their own story, and they have the facilitators, the integration facilitators. They will have lists of things that they want to guide people through. Sometimes they do guided meditation, sometimes they do breath work, sometimes they do this and that, and they have this every week for 4 weeks program, so that everybody can come and just kind of re-evaluate their own learning from the experience themselves,
and land back into this human experience, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's been a wonderful part of our offering as well. Thanks to those people who just came out of nowhere and just help us, and just I'm so grateful for them.
It takes a village. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because in my research, what I'm reading is post psychedelic trip and experience, we can integrate or we can dissociate.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Absolutely.
the stakes are very high. So to have an ongoing container of trust and love and compassion and empathy and care with some guidance there.
Right. But guidance can only take people so far.
Absolutely.
The more sustainable tool would be to give people realize of their own passion in their own practice, whatever that is. Most people, after that, they realize, oh, I should pick up some instrument for me to play some music, to start reading, to start meditating, to start maybe yoga, or to start learning something, to start learning handpans, for example. So yeah, and that for us, we feel like those activities that born out of their own passion will be their own true medicine to help them going forward. Plant medicine itself will never be a true vehicle because you cannot just keep taking medicine all the time. But it's a very powerful catalyst to start something powerful in your life, to start a new chapter in your life. But the rest of that, you have to work that yourself.
Yeah.
I always give an example, like plant medicine is a key. Come in and start the engine. Zing. Now when the engine has started, the car is not going to drive itself. You're going to have to be the one driving. And if you are going to drive, might as well choose the car that you enjoy driving, which is the practice that you enjoy doing. You don't need to force yourself doing that.
Yeah.
Once you enjoy driving the car that you like, your life will be on autopilot towards the path that you're meant to be.
And being an active participant, right? And that
Absolutely.
really speaks to the topic of self-discipline, which you've mentioned time and time again today here too, is by showing up and involving yourself in something that brings you passion, whether a lot of it is creative expression, right?
Yeah.
Like whether it's through your body, through yoga or music, meditation, there is a sense of a flow state there, kind of a reuniting with this oneness, a reminder that we are all one in
Absolutely.
the end, right?
Yes.
Rather than this separateness of an illusion.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been such a gift to chat with you here today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We're coming to a close. Is there anything else that you feel called to share before we...
I was all of a sudden I remember this quote from Rumi. He said that everybody has to die, for sure, but not everybody gets to live. So while you're here, give yourself a chance to live.
Thank you. Yes, please. Wow, what a powerful quote, powerful message, powerful conversation.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, where can people find you?
You can go to my YouTube channel, Metta Dojo. Yeah, so that's pretty much my main channel, and my Instagram too, but not much, but definitely same. You search for metta.dojo on Instagram.
And we'll put it in the show notes, and we'll put the plant medicine retreats everywhere where people can find you in that way. It's been such a pleasure to discuss this here with you. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much for having
me. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. I truly hope that today's conversation was valuable to you. To learn more about today's guests, including links and resources related to everything discussed today, visit the episode page at soulplaycollective.com. I'm so grateful you're here, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. So don't be shy. Send in your comments and let us know how each episode is resonating with you. If you'd like to support the podcast, the easiest and most impactful thing you can do is to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube, and leave a review and/or comment. Sharing the show or your favorite episodes with friends or on social media is fantastic and super appreciated. And finally, for podcast updates, please follow us on Instagram at soulplay.collective and at Soulplay Collective on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate the love and support. See you back here soon.